right? So we have a Seder on Pesach, and we even have, most people have to, outside of the land of Israel, we have 2 Seders. And the Seder has basically 2 parts. The first part is we thank God for saving us, taking us out of slavery in Egypt. And the second part is we ask Him to please, please again, help us with all of our problems in this mess in the world today, and the land, and across the whole world, so many people suffering, and of course the land of Israel, surrounded by so many enemies. But if you think about it, well, first of all, we said you have to be thankful for this. We thank God for taking us out of Egypt. So let me ask you a question. Somebody here, Joe, are you thankful at the Seder? Are you thankful to God for taking us out of Egypt? Okay, that's the right answer. All right, are you thankful? Okay. So everyone's thankful, but you think about it, it's like, wait a minute. We're thanking God for taking us out of Egypt. Wait a minute. Who exactly was running the world? Anyway, like who's running the world? It's God, right? We believe it's God. And God, we believe God's all powerful. So that would mean that God was the one who somehow, right, oversaw us becoming slaves in Egypt. So what are we thanking God for taking us out? Like if God, so to speak, caused the problem, He's the all-powerful master of the world. So it says, what does it mean that we're thanking Him for taking us out? So I think it's a very deep question. And I heard a story recently, really an idea I heard. And I think I love the story. And I realized the story, I think, answers this question, or gives an answer for the question. And the story is, I learned with the first cousin of mine, who's about 7 or 8 years older than me, and he's an eye surgeon in the Cleveland Clinic, and he's known as one of the best eye surgeons there, and we study Torah on the phone about once a week, and he, like I, was not raised Torah observant, but he himself has become, much more observant, than he was raised. He actually puts on tefillin every day, and he prays 3 times a day, and learns several times a week, and he's growing, and his family is growing. And I forget how it came up, we were talking, and once they asked him, like, do they give you, you're known as a great surgeon, do they give you the most difficult eye surgery cases? Do you get those cases, the most difficult ones? So he told me no. He says he certainly gets very high-level cases, but the cases that are the most difficult, there's a tiny handful of great eye surgeons in the world that are known that if it's a really difficult case, you send to one of these great, great people. So I asked him, I said, well, I forget, I didn't say it maybe like this, but why aren't you one of those great people? You got straight A's, you went to a top medical school, went to top residency, studied under top surgeons, you're at the Cleveland Clinic. Why are these people better than you, these few people? So he says, actually, the few people who are the best surgeons were not the ones who went to the top medical schools, because they, went to a decent medical school, I'm sure they did very well, but they couldn't get the top residency. So they got a residency somewhere out, in a hospital maybe where there aren't any other hospitals around, and they basically had to take every eye surgery that came in, and there were a lot of eye surgeries. Maybe this hospital was understaffed, and they had to do so many surgeries when they were young, and they got every single case. So my cousin said, he got the most difficult cases he didn't get when he was a resident. The biggest expert doctor did. Maybe he watched it. But, slowly they trained him. But these few doctors, they went out, they had to take every case. There's nobody else. These people aren't going to fly to the Cleveland Clinic in some of these places. They're not able to. And they did so many cases, so many complicated cases over time, they get a certain judgment that was different than, is much more experienced even than the people who went to the so-called greatest training programs. And I thought, it's a very, very deep idea that this person, was not, sort of landed off in this not in the most prestigious place. And this is where the greatest surgeons come from. Now, again, I don't know if it's the same in other surgeries, but we can understand the idea. Now, the truth is, if you think about it, my guess now, a lot of doctors, perhaps most doctors, I guess most medical schools aren't the top medical schools. They can't, otherwise, it wouldn't be called the top anymore. So most doctors go to, good medical schools, and most doctors probably go to good, hospitals. Many of them are on the, out of the way, not to top hospitals. And probably most of these surgeons, do not become the best surgeons in the world. I hope they become decent surgeons. I think they become good surgeons. Some of them, under that pressure, maybe in the middle of nowhere, taking every case, some of them maybe it hurts them, right? They don't become as successful as they could become under that pressure. Could be. But there's a tiny number, a tiny handful in the world of these surgeons who had so many cases, so many problems they dealt with, more than anybody else, that they got a certain judgment and they became the greatest surgeons. And I thought about it, and I thought really, this is like very much like the story of the Jewish people. And the idea, I think, the phrase is high risk, high reward. Right? Jewish history is high risk, high reward. You go to, if you're a surgeon, and you go to this tiny little hospital, it's a high risk. Maybe you won't, have the expert guidance to become great, but there's a high reward. You could become the greatest. And the same thing with the Jewish people in our history of so many pressures, so many challenges that we face. But those Jewish people, we who stand up to the challenges, or try at least, to hang on and stand up to them, have the potential to become the greatest people in the world. So, I was thinking, we think about Egypt, the Jews who left Egypt, there's a midrash which says, it says, the verse in the Torah says chamushim, the Jewish people came out of Egypt chamushim, and chamushim could be read 1/5. There's a midrash which says only 1/5 of the Jews left Egypt. 4/5 didn't make it out. Right? And maybe that's this idea of high risk, high reward. So much pressure in Egypt, being slaves in Egypt, that many of them didn't make it. But the tiny number who did became these people who changed the world. So I'm thinking, all of us here, many of us here, right, we might feel, in this room I'm saying, we might feel, that we're not so learned, a lot of us, right? We're not so great yet. And believe me, I'm one of those people. And, but I think, we think, maybe we're part of those 4/5, we're part of the 4/5, and, we're hoping someday, dreaming, maybe I'll be part of the 1/5 who got out. But right now, I'm so far behind. But I'll tell you, I believe this, and I think it's certainly true that all of you here, if you're here tonight, and you're struggling, and even if you think you don't know so much, but you want to learn more, and you're coming here every Tuesday night, and you're trying to grow in other ways, as long as you keep struggling, you keep trying to grow, I'm convinced that you're one of those 1/5. You're one of the 1/5. Those people who strive in the face of challenge and don't give up, they're definitely the 1/5 of the Jewish people, the kind of people that merited to leave Egypt. So I want to end with a blessing, right before our Passover. It's a tremendous honor to have the last word in this very, very amazing group before Passover. I want to give you a blessing to all of you, and it's a prayer for myself that we all should be able to meet the many challenges that we all confront in our lives. Right, the risks, that face us, we should be able to stand up to them, and if we do that, God willing, we should merit, right, to achieve the reward that only comes to those people who stand up to the greatest challenges.
Wow.